Hello everyone, welcome to the QuesterMage. Yesterday we got a brand new gameplay segment for The Legend of Zelda, The Tears of the Kingdom. So today I thought I would go through and break it down and see what I can find in this brand new gameplay segment. So sit back, relax, click like, subscribe, and hopefully enjoy. Here we go. Alright, here we are in the first frame of the game. Now several things straight away stood out to me here. The first one is this down here. Do we see this here? It shows some sort of coordinates on the map. Now these look very good now, but you'll notice a little bit later, I'll try and point it out, they become a little bit harder to see when the map is actually filled out. So here we see the return of the thermometer, here we see the return of the audio meter, and we have the weather forecast accompanied by the time of day, which is really nice. Also, stables confirmed, yay! Okay, let's zoom back out. Okay, and this scene also up here, this caught my eye almost straight away. A brand new icon up here for the L button. So this is going to be powers. We can see that throughout this trailer, but we don't know what this one is as of yet. We see the heart containers and what looks like brand new icons for the sword, the shield, and there's a food icon right there too, which is really nice. Also, we see a tower up here on the top left hand side. Now I think this is also the first time we're seeing Link in this game with a bow and arrow, which has that green hue to it, which matches his brand new arm. And I think that's it for the first frame of the game, so we're just going to move on and see what else we have in this gameplay segment. Okay, we're moving on. Start moving around with a horse. I'll try and stop here and there to see if there's anything of note. Anything here? Okay, let's keep on going. Right, there's smoke signals here. I noticed this in the trailer as well. Are these different from the ones in Breath of the Wild? They seem much more consistent and denser. I do think they're different to Breath of the Wild. Also, up here we're seeing another one of those green circle thingies that we don't know what that is yet. Let's move along the trailer. Okay, here we see another tower in the distance. And here, if I stop this here, come back a little bit, we see new enemies here, one there, which will be revealed to us in a bit. And there's also this guy over here. Can't really tell if that's a Lizalthos or not. Really hard to tell. But it looks like, oh no, I think it is one of the new constructs, because I think it's got one of those sticks. Now, was it just me, or in this trailer? Oh, actually, I'll get to that in a minute. It's about the color of the wood in the sky bits, which is really interesting for me. Okay, let's see what type of fauna we have here. It looks like the same type of fauna, so horses are here. There's that green circle thingy, which we don't know what it is. Actually, what type of shield is Link rocking here? Okay, it's the one from the other trailers. Keep going. And here is our first view of one of those sky temple thingies. Really interesting. At this point in the trailer, they explained again that reverse rock that's going to fall out of the sky. Let's keep on moving through the trailer. I did find this really cute. If we notice here, this goes by really quick in the trailer. It says, I need to reach my friend. This looks like a little Korok, look. With a big backpack. Initially, I thought this was Beedle with a Korok on his back. But if we move it slightly forward, we can see Beedle sitting right there. So unless there are two Beedles in the game, that's a little bit weird. Let's keep on going. And here, we see the stable here that we recognize from Breath of the Wild. And to its right, we see what looks like some form of crafting station. See there? That really looks like a crafting station. We don't know what this does yet. I'm hoping this is some sort of house that we can build throughout the land, but we do see similar little spots like this very close together, so probably not. This is probably going to be a crafting station, I would guess. Also, over here, if I zoom into this bit, what is this? What is this pink like smoke thingy that's appearing here? If you have any thoughts, please leave them down in the comments, because I have no clue what that is. Right, zooming out again, and let's go forward. Get another little look at the Sky Islands, and here we can see that rock falling. It's really nice. So Link now passes that, what possibly is that crafting station. We see an enemy encampment there with what looks like two bokoblins here on the base. Keep going. We can also see that in this trailer, they mentioned this falling rock. I don't think this is the one that Link rides back up to the Sky Islands. because it seems to fall right here in between these two mountains, and that's not the one that Link gets. Because we can see that Link is actually climbing a mountain here, next to what looks like a tower, to get to that rock. Now, interestingly, if I just zoom in here, we have another icon. Brand new one. Have no idea what that is, but just thought it'd be interesting to point out. Brand new icon. These look like the powers. Don't know what that one is yet, so yeah, there it is. Also, we see the horse icon is back. Lovely. Move it on. Okay, Link climbs up to the top of the mountain. We see the stamina wheel is indeed back. That power that I pointed out wasn't usable a minute ago, but is now. But we don't know what that is. So here's that rock that they were trying to hint that was the same one we just saw, but isn't. And now Link is going to use the power to rewind this rock. And he jumps on top of it, and whoop! Up we go. Very nice. And it says stop here with L, which weirdly is this. So this icon, which we can see down here, is called Recall, right here. This could be the Recall icon. Possibly. So that's possibly what that could be, but if I just scroll back a little bit, we get a better view of one of those, whatever they are, thingies that have a green circles around them, right there on the right. Let's move upwards. Seems like there's something here, but can't really make out what that is. So let's keep on going, all the way up to one of the Sky Islands. And the first time we see the Sky Islands, properly, in gameplay form. Link jumps off. And now we get to see how good is this draw distance. It's really good. In general, I think the game looks like it's running possibly at 1080p. Could be running at 900p again, but it looks much crisper, which would make sense. This was made for the Nintendo Switch as opposed to Breath of the Wild, which was made for the Wii U. So that would make sense that this game would be running or looking a little bit better. Okay, we'll keep going, see a few of those islands. Anything else? Now here are those lights that we saw in the last trailer. Remember we saw that one of those towers had lights around it? We don't know if all of them do, but this looks like the one we saw from the previous trailer. So at least some towers have lights around them. Let's keep going. And now Link lands on this. What is this? Really have no idea what this is, but this does look like a fan you get inside of a computer. So could this possibly be a massive propeller? Question mark. Don't know. Also, brand new paraglider. Very nice. Right, so Link has landed. We get to see one of the flying dragons, which is great. And here, definitely we can see that this tower has lights on and this tower doesn't. Weird. Weird, 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 weird. And is this Malice? Let me just zoom in here. Is this Malice? Because if it is, we know that that's back in the game. But we don't know for sure. But it looks like Malice. Also, Zonai everywhere. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so in the trailer, they continue to pan the camera around, which is lovely. We get to see much more of the surroundings. Actually, before we get past that, we can see they're shrouding certain areas of the game again with clouds, like they've done in the Lost Woods in Breath of the Wild. So this must be one of those areas that we are going to find interesting to go to, and the developers don't want us to see them. Here we are. We're on one of those Sky Islands after a very hard cut in this trailer. Now, down here we can see that the map is now filled in. I mean, let me just zoom out a little bit here. The map is more filled in than before. Those coordinates, I can barely see them. They're really hard to see. So maybe those would need changing before the game comes out. Maybe put them in bold or something. I'm surprised they didn't put them underneath the minimap, but that's much harder to see. But it is nice to actually see the map has been unveiled here. The minimap itself doesn't seem to show much, but if we start looking around, we have this object, which appears actually a few times in this trailer. Have no idea what this is. Looks like a massive boulder, but we don't know what this thing is around it. Also, this looks like some sort of building. This does not look like nature made this, did it? It looks man-made, in my opinion at least. Thought that was interesting. We get another glimpse of those really high-rising towers, I guess we could call them. Very weird. Go all the way up. And out over here, once again, we see what looks like Malice. So I don't know what's going on. Really interesting. I'm really interested to find out. And if you're watching this, I'm assuming you are too. So let's go on with the trailer a little bit more. I think it just looks so pretty. So pretty. There's that building again. We keep seeing it all the time. I'm assuming this is where we start. Don't know, but we're seeing it so many times. If this isn't where we start, it might be one of the first buildings we go on a Sky Island. That would be my guess. The camera keeps on panning, and now Link starts running around, jumps down. Very nice. Interestingly, if we're jumping off a mountain now, or a high point, we still get the prompt to climb down. If we don't, notice that this time it says glide and dive. In Breath of the Wild, I don't remember seeing this, so we can glide or dive off the top. That's really cool, because sometimes I'd be running off the side of a mountain or something like that into water, and I'd want to purposely dive, but the character wouldn't. The character would pick when he dives in Breath of the Wild, so that was a little bit annoying. Okay, let's keep on going. If I just stop here, this tree branch is not the same hue as the ones we had in Breath of the Wild, right? This is much, much brighter than the brown ones we saw in Breath of the Wild, and this is a constant theme in this trailer, I found. That all the weapons from Breath of the Wild that are coming back have a different hue to them. Okay, so Link collects a tree branch and starts running around. So pretty. And here we get one of the new constructs, which is really cool. Hit him, Link. Also has one of those new tree branches equipped. Stopping here, we can see apples return. Yeah, I pointed out in the last trailer, and I'm pointing it out again. Apples do return. Now, when Link takes out this enemy, okay, he's picking up a tree branch again. When he takes out this enemy, something very interesting happens, which is the stuff that he drops. So here we can see a soldier construct horn, but more importantly, a Zonai charge, confirming once and for all that Zonai are indeed a bigger theme in this game. If I actually go backwards a little bit, we can see that the stairs Link used to come up also have Zonai statues on them, which is really, really cool. Okay, moving on from that enemy. And we have a fade to another scene in the trailer, getting close to that building again and that boulder that we saw earlier. Here we see the return of the actual boulders that we could roll down the hill in Breath of the Wild. Now they're going to show off the fuse mechanic, which I thought was fantastic and amazing. I was gobsmacked to see this. Did not expect this in the slightest. I thought there was going to be some sort of crafting, but not this. And here we see that icon from the beginning of the trailer, which seems to be the fuse icon. So this trailer does a good job of showing us new things and sort of explaining them as we go. So now that Link is going to use the fuse icon, we see, which this is the bit that gobsmacked me the most in this trailer when I was watching it live, not only can we craft with the current weapon in our right hand, we can also craft to our shield, which is amazing and will be spoken about a little bit more later in the trailer, which is really interesting. So let's let this run for a little bit. And here we see a ridiculous stick with a massive boulder on top of it. Nice to see that it shrank a little bit, so as the boulder was bigger than Link, it wouldn't have been very convenient, would it? But this is a bit that really interested me. Once you fuse something together, you actually get statistical values updated on screen. Now that to me is a fantastic addition to this game. So that way we don't have to go into the menu to check these things all the time. So here we can see that the weapon itself, the attack value has gone up by 2, giving us what I'm assuming is an overall attack value of 4. That is my takeaway from this trailer in terms of the fuse mechanic. I love having statistics like this shown to the player, not forcing us to have to go into the main menu all the time to check it. So well done, massive thumbs up there. I love it. So let's move on with the trailer a little bit more. And I can see how ridiculous does that look. But it's just still fun. It's super fun to see this sort of stuff in the game. In Breath of the Wild, we had all the elemental stuff and all the Sheikah Slate powers. Here, it's obvious that Nintendo put a lot of thought into doing something like that all over again. How are players going to interact with this world for years to come? I do believe it's this fuse mechanic. This is definitely what everyone's going to be messing around with for a long time to see how we can break the game, both in the fuse mechanic and the crafting mechanic, which we'll see in a little bit. So we see Link using this paraglider, going down and seeing 2 more constructs. The constructs, if I go back here a little bit, you can see that their vision cone, very similar to the Guardians from the first game, which is a shame we haven't seen a Guardian yet. I don't know if we're going to get them in this game. I really hope we do. They were some of my favorite enemies in the Legend of Zelda series, so hopefully we get a return of the Guardian, but not sure. But just wanted to point out that the cones here, the vision cones, similar. It really looks ridiculous. If you have no context to what you're seeing, they should just put a picture of this out on the internet. It's just so silly, but so interesting. And once again, we can see another item from Breath of the Wild that we recognize with a different color. Here we can see that Link picked up a soldier construct horn, which we'll see again later on in the trailer. Nice to see that we can get several item drops from different enemies. So let's keep on moving along with the trailer. This part in the trailer made me laugh massively. So let's run this a little bit. Here we can see Link with a long stick, and we see a pitchfork, a farmer's pitchfork, and he joins them together to what potentially is the most ridiculous weapon I have ever seen in a Legend of Zelda game. But interestingly, once again, we have the stats up on the screen, +4 attack to the weapon, giving it a total of 6. These lights, by the way, appear in every trailer. I thought they were the tears of the kingdom themselves, but probably not. Those tears are probably the ones from the wall etchings in the first trailer. So let's just run a little bit more, but it's just ridiculous. Look, watch when Link puts it on his... It's just, look how gigantic this is. It's ridiculous. On the rough measurement of the screen, this is twice the actual height of Link, if not more. It's just ridiculous, but fun. It looks super fun. I can't wait to do that sort of stuff in the game. Okay, let's let this run again. Yeah, take out those enemies. The brand new heads-up display for items. This looks really good. I think this is a massive improvement on what we got in Breath of the Wild, and hopefully this will be the same for the weapon selection menus also. We can see down here that there are 4 sort types. So by type, probably by alphabet, and then by value, and then potentially via how many items we have. Don't know. But this is really cool, and just the overall look of this heads-up display is far superior to what we got in Breath of the Wild. A lovely little touch is this bit here showing where in the menu you are, and we can see this running when the player actually goes through the menu. Let's see what we have here. So we've seen some of this stuff before. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember seeing spring onions in Breath of the Wild. Could this be farming included? I really hope so. I like farming in games. I also like fishing in games, and hopefully fishing has been added to this one. But leaving that aside, I hope farming's been included, because again, I haven't seen these in Breath of the Wild. We see here Amber with a different look, definitely to Breath of the Wild. Didn't look like that, but hey, here we see Amber, and if I just let the trailer run a little bit more, we can see it says Korok Frond. No idea what that is, and we're going to see it used. What is this supposed to be? What is this supposed to be? I don't know. Maybe it uses wind and it has some sort of bounce back when used on the enemy. I don't know. But down here, we see again it says select material to attach, so it allows you to change it at any point in time as well, which is nice that you're not dedicating yourself to that one item and you can't change it. And we actually see that in the trailer. If we let it run a little bit more again, you can just change it whenever you like. Here's the return of that item we saw earlier. Link's gonna equip the white choo-choo jelly, and we see it having the ice effect right like that. This, in my opinion, is a much better way of using the choo-choo jellies in the game. In Breath of the Wild, we'd have to go into the menu and then throw them and then hit them with an arrow. This is just so much more intuitive to use these items. I love it. I think it's fantastic. They've definitely thought about how things were working in the original game and how to improve them in the next one, which is this one. Here we see some birds flying in the air. Let me just bring it back a little bit. Yeah. Here we see some birds flying in the air, and we're going to see the player jump upwards and use what we've seen in a trailer before. Now, we see a dragon here. Don't know if the same one as earlier, but we do see a dragon, and here are the birds. And we can see the player trying to hit it hit the birds, can't hit the birds, so that's that. I'm gonna let the trailer run again a little bit more. And we see another set of new items. So if we zoom in here, what is this? Is this the top of a sword? Is this a horn? Don't know. Also, this here, I have no clue what that is. But hey, just thought I'd point them out. If anyone knows what they are or has any good guesses, please leave them down below. And we're going to see now that the player is actually going to use the Keys Eyeball, which is once again a returning item from Breath of the Wild with a brand new icon there. The player is going to use this with the arrow to actually make it a homing arrow, which we saw in the previous trailer. I think is just such an interesting way of doing it. It's not a power, you're actually using items we had before and giving them extra functionality, which just makes, to me, the game much more interesting to go in and just play around with what we have in a game. And also, I'd want to find more stuff to experiment on what works with what. Let's be fair, it looks silly. It looks absolutely silly. However, the functionality of it looks pretty good in my opinion. So let's see the functionality. Okay, Link's gonna jump here. And here's one of the new construct enemies. And as soon as the construct enemy hits the shield, a massive plume of smoke appears, and the enemy can't see anything, and it allows the player to sneak strike. That's fantastic. That is really, really good. And they called it, I think, a plume shroom. We see a few of these throughout the trailers, which we don't know what they are yet. And in a bit in the trailer, we'll see one a little bit closer to the player. Now, can I just bring it down here again to the minimap? We come in here. These look like this might be those rails that the player can ride. Not sure. It could also be the edge of the Sky Islands. But if I come out a little bit, we can see there are fast travel points, or at least what looks like fast travel points, on these Sky Islands, which is really cool. So let's run with the trailer. And now we can see the log being fused with a massive stick, which is ridiculous. Now, I wanted them to fuse this sail with the stick because it looks like we can, which is ridiculous. So if we see here, they're about to use the power. We can see this goes green straight away, but if I stop here, we can see this is blue and the sail is blue. Does that not indicate that we can fuse this sail with our weapons? I want to see the sail stick. That's what I want to see. Let's move on with the trailer. We see the log being added to the stick and giving it a +1 only to give it a maximum of 5 in attack. You can see the player using it a little bit. And now here we could also see that the rock can be used. And straight away it's fused, and it has a question mark. So are we also going to be able to collect all these weapons in the album? Because remember at the album in Breath of the Wild, we had all the weapons laid out for us and we can collect all of them. Is this going to be another collectible? If it is, that's great. It's just going to be fantastic. I love collecting stuff like that in games. I really hope that it is in the game so that it makes us experiment to collect everything. And now we jump cut to another section of the trailer. And if I zoom in here, we can see another brand new icon, which we'll get to in a second. Also, those rails make a comeback from the last trailer where we saw Link grinding down on one of these as if he was Sonic the Hedgehog, but he's not. So let's run the trailer a little bit more. Another thing I like to point out is how good does this water look? Was it just me, or does the water look far superior to Breath of the Wild? And Breath of the Wild had really good looking water effects, but these look just insanely good. Also, fencing. We see this throughout all these Sky Islands that we've been on so far in this trailer. Not the ones in the distance, but the ones that the player is currently navigating. Now, looking at that mini-map again, which is my friend in this trailer, what is this icon? Don't know. And this icon looks like a shrine. That looks exactly like the shrine icon from Breath of the Wild. So could this be the return of the shrines that we're seeing here? It is a fast travel point. We know that. Well, we don't know that. We're assuming that. Also these. What are these little houses? I think they're caves. We'll get to there in a bit in the trailer. Okay, let's run on a little bit. It's still annoying me that I don't know what this is at all. Could be a bed. Could be a rectangle. I don't know. Okay, so now Link's going to run around. And in this bit is where we see... So he's grabbing a log and he's going to attach it to another log. That is the goo that I mentioned from the last trailer. So I'm happy that that actually does what I thought it would do and what many people thought it would do. Because this level of creativity is what we want to see. And this is what's going to keep this game being played for many, many years to come. Also, we can grab the log, these fans, the barrels, and if I scroll up here, we can grab this, whatever this is. And if I let the trailer run, if I just zoom out here, if I let the trailer run, we can actually see green lights flickering in here. And here also we can see a green light. This looks like the thing earlier in the trailer that I said looked like a computer fan. That's what that looks like. And if I let this play, we can actually grab that and fuse it. That's what it's teasing here in this trailer, which is insane. How big of a ship can we make with this? And that is, as the trailer is now showing us on screen, it's called the Ultra Hand. Which once again, I'm assuming, is this thing right here. And to me, this confirms that the Sheikah Slate might be completely gone from this game. Okay, so let the trailer run a little bit more. And when they showed that not only can you attach objects, you can also detach objects. Which is really cool. I think they're so interesting that you can, if I go back here a little bit, that you can stick and unstick these objects to each other. So if I just stop the trailer at one bit here, we can see, if I just zoom in a little bit, the options here are forward and back, rotate, unstick, and cancel. Now this unstick, I am going to assume that this is going to involve motion controls as well as the right analog stick. So you can shake the right Joy-Con, hopefully, to unstick that. But that's really cool that they've put that level of thought into it, that they allow you to move things, hopefully incrementally, backwards and forwards, rotate it, and unstick them. And by moving backwards and forwards, I'm not talking about an individual log, I'm talking about the whole thing, because that's what this trailer is hinting at, is we can move the whole thing backwards and forwards, we can rotate it, but by using the right analog stick, we can shake this free, if you will. And we see a makeshift raft, which is really cool. Does this also mean that the Korok leaf is going to be less useful? Well, probably not, because we can just put a sail on top of that, and we can use a Korok leaf if we so wish. And now we're going to see these fans that we've seen in the last trailers. And see there, if I go back here, just stop here and go backwards a little bit. If we focus up here, right here where the cursor is, we can see that the green lights just flickering away there. And now we see the fan being turned on, Link goes up into the air, and we can see a battery indicator, which we can also see in a little bit. It just recharges itself when you turn the machine off, which is really good. And now he's going to attach it to the rafts. I can't wait to see what people are going to make with this sort of stuff. We saw what people made in Breath of the Wild. What do you think people are going to make in this game? Are people actually going to make forts that fly everywhere? And now he's made a hovercraft. A literal hovercraft. And now as soon as you hit the fans, it moves the whole raft. It is definitely the thing I'm the most interested in this game so far, which is the... If I stop here, which is the fuse mechanic and the Ultra Hand. And if we stop here, we can see, what is this? Is this the same type of enemy? Is this the same type of construct that we just saw? Or is that slightly different? Because to me it looks slightly different. And these things look like those lights that we're seeing everywhere in the game also. If I zoom in here, we can see a cooking station. So cooking stations have returned in Tears of the Kingdom, which is really nice. And here if we stop, we actually get a name for this construct, which is a ranger construct. And it looks like it's foraging for something. And here, if we stop, it actually says talk. It doesn't intonate that we're going to attack it. So to me, this is indicating that these constructs are not all going to be enemies. Some of them are actually going to be friendly. And if we zoom back into that minimap, we can see what looks like a shop here. So this might be some form of village. but we just don't know at this point in time. I thought that was an interesting thing to see, so let's move on with the trailer. We see what I think is a brand new bit of flora here in a stem bulb. There it is, a stem bulb. Don't know what that is. And now they talk about what we saw in the last trailer and the fact that these things we will have to make ourselves and they're not pre-made in a game, which is a nice thing to point out, and hopefully it will get people to experiment with this game's mechanics. Okay, jumping forward, we see that Link has in his hand a sail, and we see one of those little fans and a makeshift raft that has been made already. We see some lily pads here and a little lake, and I think it's a stone bridge here. So the player's going to place this inside the river. We can also see there's a fish here in the pond, right there. So if I put it backwards, we can actually see the fish coming up right there, which hopefully we can fish for with a fishing rod. Nintendo, add a fishing rod to this game. And here we can see that Link in this raft is actually smacking it to go up into the air. How cool does that look? Like, it's very unique, I think. And I can't wait to do this sort of stuff in the game. Now we're seeing Link running around, and one of those buildings we saw earlier. So we see Link getting closer to it. We see a rock here that might be a Korok. See what I did there? If we again zoom into the map, it looks like we were running around over here in the previous scene, and now we're running around here, and we can see whatever icon that is, which I think looks like a shop there. And this might be one of those green/blue swirly things that we see all the time in the material for this game so far. So we see him running into one of these things. And if we stop right here, what is this supposed to be? Because we don't see, it looks like a pedestal, but we don't see what's on the pedestal. But we do see the brand new Ascend power, which if I zoom in on the top left, we can see another new icon right there, which is obviously indicating this power that Link is using to go up through roofs and ceilings, which is insane. It's insane. This Ascend power it looks so good, but isn't this going to be slightly overpowered? It's going to give us easy ways out of some buildings and structures, but hey, we will only know when we play through this game. Now I am going backwards because I want to show that it doesn't look like anything's on this pedestal, which is a bit of a shame. It's teasing that something might be there, but nothing is. Really big shame that nothing is there. Now we see that Link has landed, and we're going to do it again. Ascend all the way up through the ceiling. I'm hoping that won't break the game. And if we stop here, we can see another one of those computer fan things, and with one of those rails going all the way down, so we can use the shield to shield surf. If I just come backwards a little bit here, this thing here in the middle of a swell right there, we can see something is in the middle here, and it looks like it has a guardian eye, because that looks like malice that's coming out of its eye, or the guardian's laser focus when the guardians were looking for you, and it's in the middle of a big spiral. So could this be an enemy just defending this area? Could this be a Korok that could be in the middle there, and we just have to defeat this thing to get the Korok seed? We don't know. FYI, if Koroks are back in this game and we get Korok seeds, can we please get a better reward for collecting all of them this time? So we see Link jumping and landing right here. Now if I stop here, this is where I want to look at this mini-map again. We see these little houses which I've been glossing over as we've been going through this trailer. I thought this might have been player homes until this bit in the trailer where these with a tick. It makes more sense if they're caves that we've either discovered or completed as we're playing the game. So we can see that these caves are indicated by these stakes in the ground, these stone stakes, and as Link is going to run inside. So here the trailer is explaining that we can go through the ceiling up into the top. So once again, if we stop here, we can see that the hot peppers are back from Breath of the Wild. We see another ranger construct, which again looks like it's foraging. So that's really interesting. Could they be linked no pun intended, to the cooking stations? Because that's twice now we've seen them near cooking stations. So could we talk to them about foraging something specific for us? So we want a specific type of plant, or we want a specific type of apple. Could we ask these constructs to find them for us, and if we come back in X amount of time, they might have those things for us? Or could we ask them to cook for us? I think it's a possibility. Whatever helps the player. Now we see Link going into a cave, which I mentioned before. We didn't see many caves in Breath of the Wild. I remember the cave with the Leviathan in it with a shrine, but I don't remember much else. And we see this thing here. What is this plant? Now, if you know what this plant is, please let me know in the trailer below. But I don't remember seeing this in Breath of the Wild, but we can see that it actually sparkles as we go through the trailer. Look at that. Really interesting to know what you think. And we can see that this cave actually goes upwards here to the left. So there might be a way to traverse this cave and not just go through the ceiling. So here we go. Up Link goes, through the ceiling. This looks like a very nicely hidden loading screen. And he comes up the other side. Once again, I hope that don't break the game. I hope they limit that if we're in combat, because if not, people are going to be doing that a lot to get out of combat situations. And if we stop here, we see something brand new, at least I think is brand new. What is this? What is this big bulb thing? Could this be a new type of shrine in this game? Don't know, but we can see the little mine carts and more of those railings. So it looks like in the Sky Islands, another mine cart all the way over here. We can see in these Sky Islands there's a big push for us to use shield surfing. Another thing that I really liked here, it says unbearable cold. I don't remember that in Breath of the Wild. If it is there, I missed it or I've forgotten about it, but I like the fact that it actually says unbearable cold this time. So the character jumps off the top of the mountain where we just were and lands safely. So the character's running back into the cave and then it jump cuts to this area. There are those lamps things again that are just everywhere in these trailers. Here we can see more stone stakes indicating there be a cave. And if we go down to the mini-map, this is where I started to think, these things are completed caves, right? Or we have 100% in that cave of collecting whatever was in there. Maybe a treasure chest or something. So here we go. Link runs down the stairs. And here we see another ridiculous weapon. It's a stick with what looks like a floor. A house floor that's been fused to it. So does this mean that these enemies can also fuse weapons? Don't know. Also here we do see a ramp that goes upwards. Doesn't seem like it leads anywhere particularly interesting. And the wind effect from the Korok leaf has been added to this massive, well, there's no other name for it, a paddle. And Link gets wiped out all the way off a Sky Island, and now we can see here that Link will be skydiving downwards at any point in time that the player wants, hopefully simply by jumping off one of the islands. As soon as the player's paddled off an island, we can see many more things. So here we see those circles again that look like malice. They really do. I don't know what they are, but they really, really look like malice. Here we see one of those towers again with the nightclub lights all the way around it. We don't know what that is. Zoom out again. Anything else we see in here? Nothing that I think we can see very clearly. So let's let the trailer run a little bit more. We can see another one of those floor glyphs. I don't think we've seen this one before. This actually looks like the Zonai symbol or the Ouroboros-like logo in the back of the title screen. But that looks really cool. Still don't know what these do. Okay, everything's come into focus a little bit more. And if we stop here, the takeaway from here is, once again, look how far the draw distance is, at least in topography. I know there's no massive amount of detail from what we're seeing, but just the topography detail, I think, is pretty interesting. We see another tower with nightclub lights all the way around it. And we see many Sky Islands. There we see Death Mountain. Mount Doom. Death Mountain. I always get those wrong. There we see the Goron Mountain spewing up malice in the far distance. We see Hyrule Castle here, up in the air, with, again, malice. Malice is lifting up the castle. It really does look like it is. So maybe Calamity Ganon was defeated, but some of his powers are still around. Here we see another one of those towers with disco lights all the way around it. And we see a bridge down here. And in the distance, we see a lot of topography. Now, I don't know if this is new topography or not. So the camera zooming around. Let's stop here for a second. That's another tower with lights. We see a lone standing island here with a building on top of it. What is up with that? What is up with this? Weird. Why would you have a building by itself there? I can't find any shrines here. I've looked several times to see if I can find shrines here, but I couldn't. So let's see the dive here. So character coming down right into the river. I was hoping at this point that Link was going to go into the lake and swim underwater, but unfortunately that did not happen. He rises up at the surface. And we see one of those new flying enemies right here, which has grabbed a bokoblin, which I still hope they're eating bokoblins for lunch, but we don't know that yet. We see an enemy camp right there, a tower in the middle there, loads of ruins, and another, what looks like to be a crafting station here on the right hand side. We can see the smoke signals from the stable there. And we let the game run on. And this is the end of the gameplay that we got shown in the brand new, I guess, Nintendo Direct. I guess we can call it a Direct of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So to finish off, I wanted to talk about what my thoughts were of the trailer overall. I already thought before we were going to watch this new footage of the game, I thought I'd come out thinking, okay, it's more Breath of the Wild, which I really want to play. I don't know if I'll be as excited for this one as I was for Breath of the Wild, but I think this gameplay reveal really done a good job of showing someone that's played Breath of the Wild for a long time, finished the game, loved the game. I think it's giving me focus into what the new game is going to be. It's showing me, you the players that are familiar with the game mechanics, you have something new to do. It's not just going to be the same game all over again. You are going to have similar mechanics, but new things are going to be available to you. And you're going to be able to play as much with the sandbox in this game as you did in the first game. So at this point in time, am I excited to play the new Legend of Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom? Absolutely. Am I more excited after this trailer than before? Yes. I really think this trailer done a very good job of showing us the game is different to Breath of the Wild in some ways, at least in some of the powers and stuff that we get in the game, so we are going to get a different feel overall. I think they've done a very good job of showing us the verticality of the game. We're going to have loads of new sky islands that we can go to, which I think will make the game feel much, much different. I thought that they would show us underground, but they haven't done that as of yet. Don't know if there is underground in the game. I've just always assumed that there would be an underground element to this game. I really liked the gameplay show. Let me know if you liked the gameplay down below. If you didn't like the gameplay, then let me know why not. Why didn't you like it? What would you like to see? If Nintendo had to do another video before the game comes out, whether it be a trailer or a gameplay reveal or a treehouse, what would you like to see? So unfortunately, that's going to have to do it for today's video. Thank you very much again for watching. If you like what I do here, please click that like button down below. If you want to see more, then please click that subscribe button, as that is the only way this channel can grow. Now, I hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, thanks again.